what would you recommend for us in terms of a product? I think coffee's a natural one, but I've been doing coffee now for 2 years and the margins are really, really, really slim on coffee. I would love to get into something finance related, like some sort of money saving app or just something like that. But then I think to myself, I'm not my strength, I think, is YouTube, algorithm, being on camera, asking good questions, just that aspect of it. I don't want to split my time between that and like trying to figure out a business on the back end of that.
Well, that's why you got to find someone to run the business and you do a joint venture of some sort with them. You know, whether it's like a 50-50 partnership and say, hey, listen, I'm going to be the media side of this brand. You're going to be the product side of this. And let's go make something together. You know, there's a lot of there's a lot of different markets you could tap into, right? Like we want to, Happy Dad, the company wants to own what's inside convenience stores. Like that's what we want to go after. Like we're going to create other products down the road. We have Happy Dad now. We'll probably have, we have our beef jerky brand, board jerky. You know, maybe one day we'll have a non-alcoholic beverage. Maybe we'll get into things that are at the counter at the checkout stand, lighters, or probably not vapes. I'm not a big vape guy, but maybe cigars, you know, like whatever's in a gas station, convenience store, or a grocery store is what we want to own. But I think those are like, you know, you got to just kind of look at what it's really what you got to find a balance between what your audience wants and what you're passionate about. Kyle likes seltzers. Logan's an athlete, KSI's an athlete. Made sense for them to make a sports drink.
So from your experience being on the Iced Coffee Hour, you also mentioned that you think everyone's going to come out with a podcast. How do we level up and make sure that we're ahead of the curve and we stay ahead of the curve here?
You got to find out what the main vertical topic is and just own that.
Dominate that niche?
Yeah, just dominate that niche. We were talking about that. Actually, me and Jen were talking about that the other day. Is like, you know, like someone could create a, you know, recently divorced podcast and just own that. You know what I mean? Like there could be wedding, you know, getting married soon podcast, all the things you need to do about getting married and like, you know, having like, you know, brides that are, you know, have their wedding coming up and their experiences on like ordering catering, ordering the DJ, venue, flowers, all this, you know what I mean? Like just so many different verticals of life that people could talk about. You just have to own that. And it's not the same thing. You know, I think it's more about the topic than it is like having guests. Getting guests helps take maybe pressure off of you because they could bring you things to talk about, but it's not necessarily about the guests, in my opinion.
That's interesting because one of the biggest pain points for us on the podcast are getting consistent, high quality guests. And now you're saying that isn't the most important thing.
It is not.
Why is that? Because we found that if we have a guest who either has a name, they're known, people are searching them, or they have a really, really cool, unique story, the videos do substantially better than if we get a no-name person where their story's a little meh. Even if the conversation is great, if people don't know them and we can't convey a reason to click on the video or watch to begin with, it does worse.
It certainly helps if you have a guest because now you use that person in your title, thumbnail, and you're attracting their audience because YouTube is so smart that it'll find people who are interested in that person and drive their traffic to you. It's just more pressure on you because like now if you don't have a guest this week, you don't find anyone, what are you gonna do, not upload? Because you're dependent on the guest. You know, you got to figure out kind of the balance. Yeah, it's nice to have certain people, but don't be dependent on a guest because what's worse than not having a guest is not uploading.
I just think the utmost or like the equilibrium between like frequency and quality kind of right there lands at once a week. And of course, if there's some sort of event or something that happens, such as Graham's fight in the Creator Clash, that was a super cool event. We're not going to reserve that for a Sunday. We could do that all in-house, just us. And then sure, on that occasion, yes, we can post one in the middle of the week.
Yeah.
But leave that up to other things that could potentially be happening. And if they're so exciting, we have to talk about it, we'll do it. But if we adhere to some schedule where, every single Wednesday we have to release an in-house podcast episode, yes, we will run out of things to talk about. And for me, it's really hard hard to put something out there that I don't feel 100% confident in is like, yo, I don't want to be wasting people's time with this. Like, I want them to tune in and be enthralled every minute, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's why you're a great content creator too, right? Like, as content creators, you guys are directors and editors, right? So you're directing what you're creating and you're editing at the end. You're going to figure out what is great out there. And yeah, I mean, you're not afraid. I think great content creators are not afraid to throw away content either.